Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Movie News. I am joined as always by John, who held the fort last night quite well for a full 22 minutes, I believe. John, I was tuned in.
25.
I was kind of doing the admin on the live chat. Unfortunately, no one bothered to join us, but maybe it's the time of night. I'll put it down to that. But John, listen, we're going to crack on anyway because we've got a few topics we want to cover and discuss, and the first one up is obviously the headline. It's Dune as a fully standalone epic. Now,
fantastic.
Well, it's a bit of a shockeroo, isn't it? Because as we know, it's quite a big story, and I think it's the cinematographer Greg Fraser is assuring fans that this will get a full standalone film in December. Now, we'll talk about what that could mean. There's a bit of terminology in there, I think, playing with words, because we've got a theory on what that could mean. But he has this to say: it's a fully formed story in itself with places to go. It's a fully standalone epic film that people will get a lot out of when they see it. It was quite an adventure visually. It was a beautiful experience making it. The people involved with it, I was overwhelmed. Some of the actors, as well as being insanely talented actors, are just lovely, lovely people who I've become very close to since. Now, the reason I said playing words, John, is because we know obviously David Lynch's version, the 1984 version that is, was cut down to 136 minutes. And it does say in this article the dual film approach makes sense,
it does.
As the tome is so dense. Now, this is the thing, it's this dual film, making one big long epic film and then splitting it into two and maybe releasing it at separate dates. What's your take on this anyway, John? I know that you're really looking forward to seeing this film.
Yeah, Stephen, I've not even read the book yet. I'm going to read the book before I watch this because I feel like it will make the experience all the more richer.
Yeah.
I think when you get such great, I don't know what you'd even call it, but storytelling at your fingertips within the actual novel, such a great mind to mind from, if you like. That's a terrible terminology, I know. Then you really have to do it justice. We've seen it with The Hobbit. A lot of people criticise Peter Jackson for the way that he split up The Hobbit. They didn't feel it was necessary to give us 3 movies. Personally, as a fan of Tolkien and a fan of Peter Jackson, I didn't mind the way he handled it. I thought it gave some great individual characters within that book their own fully fledged arcs, their own time to breathe. The likes of Bard, the likes of Smaug himself, and obviously we had the great battle with the Necromancer in Mirkwood with Gandalf, which wasn't even in the book. So I liked his handling of it, and I feel like this is similar. In actual fact, Dune is even longer. The actual novel is longer. I think it's 412 pages long. The Hobbit is in the 300 page mark. So you says it, Stephen. The cinematographer's talking about the reason behind splitting this movie, because the tome is so dense, the book is so dense. They're using synonyms for novel. I don't know why.
John,
that's necessary, Stephen. If you can split The Hobbit into 3 movies with 300 odd pages, and it's not that jarring for someone who, like me, is a big fan of Tolkien, you could realistically do a full-blown series on this. Maybe an hour-long episode. Do maybe 3, 4, 5 seasons like they did with the Game of Thrones. Oh, that's a lot of books, Game of Thrones, I do know. And it would probably not be jarring. So 2 movies, I don't think it's that
sometimes
big an issue.
The source material, John, requires it. But I think Greg Fraser is probably sort of toeing the party line with the studios here to make sure people understand that it's not 2 films. It's not going to be Dune and then a sequel. It's going to be one film, one big epic film. Standalone film, as he calls it. It's scheduled for December. Is that correct?
December, yes. Yeah. Hopefully it comes in December.
Well, there's room for it, so there's time, hopefully. But I think that's what Greg Fraser's saying here. I think this is what the studio are going to be promoting over the next coming months, that it's a full standalone film. Doesn't mean that it's one film or one. Well, it's
but one movie is part of a duology, but in terms of the feels of watching the actual movie, it won't feel like it's a half-arsed job. It's a story unfinished. You will watch it and it will feel fulfilling. And also getting back to watch it later on, once the actual story is complete from Denis Villeneuve and all the other people involved, you'll probably be able to watch it on its lonesome and it will feel fulfilling. Again, I'm getting back to Tolkien because they subcompartmentalise that man's works.
It's the same as Stephen King's work.
That's
why we've not got a film, The Stand. We've not had that film yet. because
Very hard to do.
we had the TV movie, which, as you said, John, you actually...
And we had actually the
explained.
TV show for Dune as well,
Yeah.
and it was apparently flopped.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll be the case with
Well, it's
this.
all to do with budget, isn't it? But I think when it's TV made movie, you don't get as big a budget, clearly. But
Steve made a comment there as well, by the way, and I agree with what the guy says. He says Denis Villeneuve will win for Best Picture. He'll win the Oscar.
It's a good shout, yeah.
He won 2 for Arrival. I think he will.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close between him and Nolan. If Tenet is any good at all, it'll be a shootout between those two great directors. I think Denis could nab it though. If he gets this right, this epic, this is like the Star Wars of the 21st century. The way we've had Star Wars in the 21st century, but the original, the vibes, he's mentioned it in here, he had to forget about Star Wars. He worked on Star Wars.
He worked on Rogue One and he worked on the Mandalorian series, John. He says this is nothing like Star Wars in the sense of, obviously,
the actual
storytelling.
Story,
But, just going back to what I was saying, John, about The Stand, I liked the TV movie, but I understood why it had to be broken into, I think it was 4 parts that had to be broken into. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I know you obviously liked It television series with Tim Curry. I know that haunted your dreams for many a years, John.
Terrorised me, that man.
And there was something about that, but as you said, there's already been a Dune television series which didn't perform as well. Some things just aren't made for television, in that sort of standard.
Not at that time.
In budget as well. You do sometimes films of this nature with big storylines, big cast as well, John. We'll probably have to talk about the cast as well.
Oh, it's absolutely magnificent.
It's fantastic. Sometimes you just have to, throw in the kitchen sink.
Stephen, it's Denis Villeneuve as well. The man worked on Blade Runner 2049, 8. I always get that wrong, but it's a great sequel. Not a lot of people seem to go out and watch it and back it financially, but as that guy says in the comments, he's just a tried and tested director. He's one of the best directors out there just now. Great cerebral storyteller. I loved Arrival. I love what he did. I think it was Amy Adams that was in that, if I'm not wrong. I hope it was with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
That was a great story as well. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the ending. I loved the use of music. It was emotive. And I really, as I did say, enjoyed Blade Runner, that sequel. The way he handled Ryan Gosling, the way he handled Harrison Ford, the scale of the sets, the scale of the storytelling. He had Roger Deakins in as cinematographer. So he's proven, to me at least, that he can handle great epics like this on technical level, on storytelling level, on handling maybe diva casts, big casts. Not that Josh Brolin and Timothée Chalamet are divas. They will not give him any issues at all. I'm sure those two guys are absolute professionals. Yeah. Stephen, I actually forgot some of the members of the cast. Is Idris Elba in this? I don't know if he is. I'd need to check that out.
I think you would have to, John. Or something tells me that he might be.
I'm going to have a look just now.
I'm not really sure, but it's funny, John, because
it's stacked.
It's coming out in December as well. I think is a wise decision from the studio. This they finished it, haven't they? It's ready to go.
Tom Cruise not in it.
But he's not in it. No.
Jason Momoa, Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac.
That's some cast, isn't it?
Javier Bardem.
Amazing. Coming out at the end of the year, John, is probably the wise thing for this, because there's actually going to be another topic we're going to be talking about 2021.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably the right time for this coming out. Obviously originally with this coming out as well, they probably had in mind of the summer releases that were supposed to be coming out. Some might still come out late summer, but I think this was probably the best thing to do. We don't have Star Wars films. I don't know if we've got any big Disney ones coming out at the end of the year, have we?
Mulan's probably, and it's July.
It's
scheduled.
But a December release like they did with Mary Poppins Returns. But
no, I think that's maybe the next few years with obviously James Cameron, Avatar and whatnot. But yeah, the December slot was clear this year, and also with Tenet coming out, July again. You want to avoid that. That's the other main sort of event movie for me. I've got these two movies in my top 2 most anticipated. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Nolan's given us and what Villeneuve's given us. Every time these guys release movies now, I'm so excited because they're just two of the best in the business.
It's a good time to be around, John, filmmaking, and obviously the directors and
if we can see them.
Storytellers. But listen, we'll move on to another subject here, John, another topic. Another wonderful filmmaker in Patty Jenkins. Wonder Woman's Patty Jenkins was offered a Justice League movie but turned it down. Now, I've got a quote here from the lady. She says, "I love comics, but I come to superheroes through films." She said, There is in me this desire to emulate compared to the movies I saw as a child. A certain spirit that reigned in those times. Is that relevant when I shoot? I don't know. The point is, unlike other directors, I don't really care about shared universes, continuity and that kind of detail. I've been contacted to make a Justice League movie in the past and it doesn't connect to me. Too many characters. So she's kind of burnt her bridges there with that anyway. She's making it clear she's not interested in that kind of sort of surface level. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but
no, she goes for character.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say,
yeah.
John. You know, so what's your thoughts on this? Would you have liked to have seen Patty Jenkins do I know it's obviously hindsight now. Would she have done a better job, etc.? I don't mean that.
I don't think she could have done
and I don't even
worse.
mean that Justice League film. Would you have liked to have saw her do her own Justice League movie?
Very difficult, Stephen, because also this was very much Zack Snyder's baby. He was the main man. He was a sort of filmmaking Kevin Feige of the DCEU, Warner Brothers side of things. And he had started it all with Man of Steel. He'd obviously done Dawn of Justice, and then he went in to do Justice League. He had a overarching story in mind with Darkseid and whatnot. Didn't work out. He had issues with, obviously, his daughter passing away tragically. Yeah. They then handed over the reins to Joss Whedon. Certainly she couldn't have done a worse job than Joss Whedon, what he managed to come. And that's been harsh on Josh, because look, he proved it. I think he did the original Avengers movie, didn't he? Am I wrong? I hope it was.
He did, yeah.
So he's proven that he can do blockbuster superhero movies, but it was a Frankenstein's monster of a movie. And when you're bringing all these different tonal sort of feeling parts together into one cohesive moving, I don't know, bit of machinery. This is terrible terminology. If you've not gathered it by watching me before, then you will gather quickly I'm not the best at putting terminology together at times, but you get what I mean. When you're bringing all these moving pieces together, sometimes it doesn't jive together very well. There's a good word I like to use. Would I have liked to have seen her do a Justice League movie? Well, probably not, Stephen, because from what she's saying here, it's not something that's her cup of tea, so her heart and soul wouldn't have been in it, and you wouldn't have.
I'll throw into the question, after you watched Wonder Woman when it came out, would you have liked to have seen her doing a Justice League movie?
Yeah, probably, because Stephen, they say it in this article, Wonder Woman is still the highest rated, critically acclaimed movie of the DCEU. It's currently holding a 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so certainly in terms of critical response, it's still it's the gold standard for what they've accomplished so far. I find it hard to believe Joker, but obviously we had all the naysayers and whatnot, and that's not part of the DCEU anyway.
No.
So certainly, if she was offered it at that point and it came out she'd been given the gig, then I'm sure I would have been pretty damn happy about it. How they would have did that, because I don't know how that falls in timeline. I'm not the biggest nerd when it comes to DCEU timeline. Well, did Wonder Woman come out prior to Justice League? I think it came out a year after, didn't it?
Yeah, because there was clues at the start of the film. I think she was looking at files of all the different members.
So it was before.
So there was the planting of the seeds. So it was before, John.
Yeah.
And no, I mean,
that's strange. She was offered it then with Zack Snyder still hanging around. That's very weird.
Yeah, but I don't know if it actually means this Justice League film, or perhaps maybe something. If the Justice League film is a success, we'll be doing other ones. Would you be interested? I don't know, but it's good to hear her thoughts on this, and it kind of confirms what I thought about her anyway. She is a very character-driven director and storyteller. You saw that in Wonder Woman. I've watched that film maybe 4 or 5 times now. I think it's probably my most watched DCEU film. I like everything about it. I like the origins of it. They don't really linger on them too much, but what's that area called, the sort of hidden world?
Themyscira. Yeah.
There's something about that, those sequences, and those characters that I just related to, and it gave us a sense and an understanding of this character and where she came from and what her moral beliefs were. She kind of stood out from the rest. She didn't. She kind of had sort of compassion for the outside world, and the struggles there, obviously, with the war going on, and that kind of thing. And they kind of ignored it, locked themselves away, didn't want anything to do with it.
Self-preservation.
Wasn't there, bit like, Wakanda a little bit, but I thoroughly enjoyed that film. Just everything about the filmmaking, the process of it, the pacing of it, the tone of it, I thought was handled perfectly. And it. I wasn't a fan of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman thing, the television series or anything like that. It was more my sister that was into that, if I got to be honest with you. But there was just something about this. And, Gal Gadot is a great Wonder Woman. I know some people think she's not the best actor in the world. I get that, but I think, obviously, she does serve the role.
She's not Meryl Streep, Stephen. Oh. Kate Blanchett.
No,
but she fits.
I don't think she's that anyway.
Yeah, she's good enough for what she has to do in Wonder Woman, and she's done very well, and she looks as though she's continuing it.
Yeah.
Perhaps even raising the bar.
Just don't sing Imagine.
Yeah.
Terrible. But listen, John, we'll move on.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more topics we want to get under our belt before we wrap up tonight's show. This coming in from Slash Film. It's the pandemic could kill mid-budget films at the box office for good. Kind of skimmed the surface on this the other day. I think it was Tuesday's show, John.
Yeah.
We were talking about those sort of mid-budget films, the likes of Trolls, etc., the sequel that is to Trolls, and their sort of place in the film world, and cinema, VOD, etc. And we round off a few that we felt the studios actually made good decisions on. They weren't going to be at much of a loss with the budgets of these films and what they would get back. They're obviously on a loss, clearly, because they're not going through this, the cinema run or anything like that. But there was something that I picked up in this article anyway, with the glut of films clogging up the box office in 2021. Studios are going to have more they're going to have more competition than they would prefer. Absolutely. This is something I never really considered. That a lot of studios, if they're moving their dates to later on this year, not every film's going to have that luxury.
Yeah.
Because there's still, like the Batman, there's still a bit of production still to be done on these films, so they're not going to be ready anytime soon. Certainly not in 2020, which means that the studios are going to have a bit of a headache in release dates, crossovers, affecting on their box office numbers as well because of this. The other thing that we talked about before we came on as well, John, which kind of just sprung to our mind, was obviously the sort of restrictions on cinema passes. Ours is unlimited over here. I think that's going to be if Cineworld survive, that is, and the membership is back in place. They are going to have a serious rethink, because you're going to have a lot of blockbuster films in the cinema at the same time, and I cannot, for the life of me, imagine that any cinema corporation would allow their customers to have free rein to go and watch all these blockbusters in 1 month. We talked about incredible. That company, MoviePass, was it? MoviePass, that obviously are no longer with us for their restrictions per month. We don't have that over here in the UK. When it says it's unlimited, it is unlimited. It
is, and you can watch it as many times as you want, numerous times in a day, in actual fact, and it's a great thing for movie fans. Certainly doesn't seem. I don't know what the setup is with AMC over in the States. I know they have their own unlimited. I don't know if there's restrictions on viewing. I don't know. I don't think there is. It's not like MoviePass. Even MoviePass was unlimited at one point, and then when it got into financial difficulty, started trying to bully the theatres, and they burnt their bridges with them. Then they had to tone it down quite a bit. I think it was like 2 movies a day or something like that, or not even that. Might even have been less. 2 blockbuster movies or whatever a week or some crap like that. I don't know. But Stephen, I think you're right. And I actually think what they're saying in the article is right too, that this will be the death knell of mid-budget movies having big sort of theatrical releases, box office runs. I don't think we'll see movies like Trolls World Tour. We'll see movies like Lord knows what. I mean, I'm trying to find one here. It's coming out in 2021. And I'm struggling because it's all blockbuster after blockbuster. Yeah. But I don't think you'll see smaller budget movies getting big grandiose runs at the box office, or theatrical runs, whatever you want to call it. I think that will be reserved for event movies like a Nolan or a Villeneuve or a Tarantino or a Bong Joon-ho or Boon Jong-ho, whatever the hell his name is. Even now I can't get it right. Oscar-winning, history-making director. Yeah. It'll be reserved for people like that. Star Wars movies, Avatar movies, Marvel movies, DC movies, big blockbuster movies and events, zeitgeist things. Yeah. Maybe A24 movies will get slightly longer. But the traditional studios and their mid-budget movies, I don't see them getting big runs. As what he says about obviously restrictions and whatnot, I absolutely see that happening, because when you look at next year, it's just absolutely ridiculous. The Batman, Morbius, The Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Jungle Cruise is going to be a decent little family-friendly movie. Obviously it's starring Dwayne Johnson, I can't recall who else, Emily Blunt. You've got Fast and Furious 9 in there. You've got Avatar 2 potentially coming out at the end of the year. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Jurassic World Downfall, I think it's called. The Dominion.
Dominion.
You've got Minions sequel. It's ridiculous. The Suicide Squad, The Matrix 4. I don't think that's going to happen now. They were filming.
John Wick as well.
Yep, John Wick, Mission Impossible. Yeah. It is insane. There's so many goddamn big blockbuster movies coming out. It's absolutely condensed. It's stacked into one little year. How are we going to do this? I don't know. We're getting blockbusters every 2 weeks. There's no way the theatre companies can keep this up. There's no way they will allow people free access into all these movies. They'll have to restrict it. They'll go out of business. They have to earn those cons, those mullahs, for lack of a better word. And yeah, I absolutely see them restricting it. But it's going to be great for fans of film, one way or the other. After this whole coronavirus pandemic slips off and goes off into the sunset and never to be seen again, hopefully, fingers crossed. Certainly Michael Bay's hoping it doesn't, because he's going to make a disaster movie out of it already. But once that goes, then we'll have free access to go and rattle through all these great movies. And I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. 2021 already, because Lord knows 2020 has been an absolute shyster of a year, a jalopy of a year.
We'll talk.
Horrendous.
What we're going to talk about next, though, John, is obviously based on Diego's comment that came in about the Academy Awards. You know, how this is going to play out. You know, for nominations. You know, for next year, are they going to extend, obviously, the cut-off? What's your thoughts on that, John? How is this going to play out? I know we're a long way off, you know, and a lot of films can still, you know, be released between maybe the end of July or beginning of August or whenever, you know, until the end of the cut-off date. But do you think there's going to be an extension? Do you think maybe the Academy Awards may not even take place next year?
I think it will, Stephen, because they changed the guidelines fairly recently, and I think they were allowing streaming services, and maybe, I don't know how they'd get around it. Perhaps they'll allow members of the Academy to watch these movies like Tenet if it's delayed in June and whatnot. One way or the other, though, these movies which were scheduled and are in the can, completed things, I think they will be seen by the correct eyeballs, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And they will ultimately be nominated at the Oscars. Maybe it will give other movies who would not have a look in a chance, perhaps, because it has had ramifications for it. I say it's had ramifications, but it hasn't, because we're not even into award season, where these Oscar buzz movies, these movies that are looking to be seen, and perhaps catch the eyes of the correct people, and so they can wine and dine them and woo them later on in that key time, I don't know, November through to January maybe.
Yeah.
They have not come out yet, so ultimately, time will tell. As we go into the end of the year, I think we will have this pandemic under control. I think people will, in limited numbers, be allowed to go back to theatres and watch movies, and I think the Oscars will ultimately go ahead, and I think the BAFTAs, the BAFTAs.
Listen, John, I don't mind about social distancing in cinemas anyway. You know, I think it's needed as well. I think, you know, sort of contained areas where you've got, you know, aircon in place as well. I think it's very. You've got to be sensible about this, but certainly for social distancing in cinemas, I like my own space in a cinema anyway, so it suits me.
6 feet, Stephen, behind each group that comes in. You're done. Masks are going to be compulsory now over here, so
popcorn is not allowed.
Yeah, that's going to be a travesty. Maybe we can get a way of manipulating popcorn through masks. Some company has to get that on. They have to get that patented. They will make an absolute mint over the next 6 months.
But listen, we'll move on to our final topic as time is pressing, John. It's Ridley Scott has more alien movie ideas, and they sound wild. Now, we're talking about prequels here. You actually filled me in on this, John, because you're a bigger fan of the Alien franchise than I am.
Well, the old one, Stephen.
You know, Ridley has 2 more films in mind to sort of bring it up, you know, to speed with the prequels, you know, obviously coming into the original movies. I had this to say, I still think there's a lot of mileage in Alien, but I think you'll have to now re-evolve what I always thought when I was making it, the first one. Why would a creature like this be made, and why was it travelling in what I always thought was a kind of warcraft, which was carrying a cargo of these eggs? What was the purpose of the vehicle, and what was the purpose of these eggs?
You'd think they'd be fleeing the planet. That would be the notion. There's something went really badly wrong in that home planet.
So he finished it off by saying that's the you know, that's the thing to question: who, why, and for what purpose is the next idea, I think. So do you think 2 films, do you think they've got the legs to be able to do this successfully, John? Because I know obviously you weren't a big fan of
Covenant, I think it was. Was it Covenant? Alien Predator versus Alien. I wasn't a fan of Prometheus either.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
I just thought it was shit, Stephen. It just lacked.
Fair enough.
This is contentious because there is people out there who love Prometheus, but it just lacked what those first two movies had. The first movie for me was like an out-and-out horror movie, and then the second movie was more like a full-blown action, balls to the wall action movie. I loved them.
Yeah.
And I can see what he's saying about the first movie, because they never really, in my memory, unless it's failing me, they never really resolved what the hell that alien was doing on that ship, why it was trying to escape with eggs. It was never resolved, so perhaps that is something that we can maybe resolve with a prequel. It'll explain why it's going off in this
but you can
perceived warship.
You can get the argument, John, that a lot of people do ask the question about, did we need a Han Solo film? You know, sometimes
the mystery
is the best way to go about it. You know, plant those little eggs about their pardon pun, you know, about the past and have those links there, but don't overemphasize them. You know, part of the mystery is sometimes the success in the formula, you know.
Yes, Stephen, I loved the mysteriousness surrounding Boba Fett and surrounding Han Solo in these movies, and I love the continuing mysteriousness surrounding Yoda's species. So you don't have to tell everything, but I think in the context of this story, it would be nice to know what the hell was going on and why the events of that first movie ultimately transpired with the eggs on the ship. It was strange to me, because it was like a warship. It didn't make sense. And they could do it because he hasn't says it, Ridley, but it's been spoken about over the last, I don't know how many years, that there is still two movies. He had two movies in mind between this period, between obviously the original Alien and I think it was Prometheus was the last one. There is still two movies connecting these two in the timeline.
Yeah.
So there is scope there. If he is envisaging two movies to tell this story and ultimately connect it, then there is scope to do it. Will Disney allow it? That is the question I have, because Disney are a very, very, very different studio to Fox. Fox would allow things like that. They'd allow R-rated, gory messes and horror stories, dark. Disney have a very individual. I can't even say it. It doesn't even matter. They've got a very
specific,
individualistic idea on how to send the movies out to theatres. They want to target every single demographic in the theatre going audience. They want young people there. They want octogenarians there. And a movie like this is not going to jive, I keep saying jive, with younger demographics. They will not be able to watch it, because it has to be. You cannot do a PG-13 Ridley Scott Aliens prequel movie. It cannot happen. It has to have a degree of darkness, violence, gore.
It's going to have
Disney
that effect.
will not allow it.
No, but it's going to have, I know it's a different studio, but it's going to have that effect of the Terminator franchise. You know, if you're watering down the obviously the certification of the film, you know, its age range.
Yeah.
It has effect on the quality and the tone of the film. You know, and these films started off as you said, you did say it, a horror film was the first movie, very much like the Terminator film. I've always said the Terminator film is a horror film. You know, the second one is an action film, but it's just coincidentally it's James Cameron that did both the sequels as well. But you're right, you know, there is a concern there. You know, I don't know if that's going to, for me anyway, in my opinion, if they water down this franchise any further, it's only going to taint it, you know, and people will regard, you know, obviously Aliens, as, you know, the two classics, very much like Terminator and Terminator 2, you know, and disregard the rest. You know, I wasn't a big fan of, you know, the third one or the fourth one. With, I think it was Winona Ryder was in the fourth one, Resurrection or something.
I've never even seen it, Stephen. As I say, as a fan of the first two, it went really bad after that. I've seen Prometheus. No. Michael Fassbender was in it, and they're saying that the story in these potential next movies, which will focus around his cyborg type character. So, look, Fassbender's a great actor, and it certainly wasn't his fault, Prometheus. Yeah. He was decent in it. I think he's played a similar character to Lance Henriksen.
Yeah, we've got a comment coming in from Peter Plumers, one of our writers here at MBA. Peter actually says, please no Alien prequel. Seen the last Alien as crappy as the fourth one. The fourth one was crappy. I totally agree. Just going back, actually, Peter's putting another comment there in regards to the awards. You know, should they be skipped? He says they should be skipped. A lot of great movies went straight to video. Bit unfair.
Yeah, it is.
Agree with that.
But I think they are allowing the movies that went straight to video access. They don't have to be seen in a 2-week period in LA and New
Yeah,
York to be
they have
eligible.
to.
They changed the guidelines, so
Have to,
movies
yeah,
that went,
move the goalposts, yeah.
stream movies can be eligible for the Oscars, so that's the get around. But ultimately, I don't think those movies will even get there, because we've got the likes of Dune and, as I say, it's Dune and Tenet, man.
Yep.
It's a two-way shootout for me, unless there's some momentous movie which I've missed coming out, which I usually do. Let's be honest, there's usually some Oscar baiting movie which is fantastic, comes out at the end of the year with the usual suspects,
Yeah.
and it pops up out of nowhere for me, because I love talking about movies. I'm a big fan of film, but there's a lot of movies which I don't even know exist, and I'm not going to lie. But where was I? What was I? I was going to mention something.
Yeah, John, I was talking about I think the fourth instalment at the time of the the Alien franchise.
It was the rated, how they could maybe circumvent the rating issue with Disney. They could perhaps put it out with Fox Searchlight. Not Fox Searchlight. What the hell is it called? I've lost the plot. The 20th Century Searchlight or something.
Okay.
I think
I didn't even know that.
They've cut the Fox out. That
Right,
great
okay.
little studio. They could maybe, the one that Jojo Rabbit came out with, and there's been a whole array of other ones. That's how you can maybe circumvent it. You can put it out in a compartmentalised studio within the greater Disney umbrella, and it would be allowed to work. But as Peter does rightfully say, if I was to be given an option, I would rather they don't touch it again, because the first two have been fantastic. Like the Terminator franchise, should have been ended as a great duology. They keep adding on these reboots and remakes and quasi-sequels, and it's just shit. So it doesn't.
That's why Dune are going down the road they're going down.
Yeah, 2 movies and done.
Yeah.
And it would work, Stephen. It would work, and I hope it does work, because I've got faith in Denis and I've got faith in this story, which I'm going to read. Finally going to read a movie, a novel, before I go and watch a movie which has been adapted from it. But look, guys, that's going to round up the show. Before I get down a rabbit hole, it's always precarious at the end of these shows trying to get out a Jojo rabbit hole. Yes, little Jojo. What is your thoughts on Dune? Being a fully standalone movie, a sub-compartmentalised, enjoyable experience in the midst of perhaps a greater duology. Is that something you're excited about and you want to see? What's your thoughts on Patty Jenkins shunning the chance to direct a Justice League movie? Do you think she was correct? I do, because it was absolutely damaged goods at that point. What is your thoughts on the death of mid-budget movies, and just this, what's going to happen as a ramification of that next year? Do you think there's going to be issues with unlimited passes in cinemas and whatnot, with all these blockbusters being delayed? Finally, do you want to see another Alien prequel movie from Ridley Scott, or do you think that's an absolute pie in the sky lot of bullshit and you don't want to see it? Terrible idea. If you've got anything to say at all, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see us talking more gibberish about movies. If you do, then you will see me and Stephen tomorrow reviewing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We're doing another little retro movie review. In my opinion, the second greatest Spider-Man movie ever created, but we'll get into that in more depth tomorrow. If you subscribe, you'll see it. See you after, guys. Maybe.